Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the season premiere, season 5 premiere of Battle Wounds podcast. I'm your host, Amos St. John. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. This means the world to me that we made it to season 5. Of course, the first 3 seasons were Coffee House Conversations podcast, and I relaunched, took a 3-year hiatus, came back, and launched season 4 and retitled it Battle Wounds Podcast. Now we're entering season 5. Take a moment to subscribe if you haven't. If you're just browsing through, make sure you like, follow, just comment, just let me know you're here. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Now, season 5, I'm going to dig a little deeper. Season 4, I was kind of getting warmed up. You know, I was trying to figure this thing out and really share at least a tidbit of what I've been experiencing in this last 3 years since I took this hiatus. So this episode, I really want to bring in a special guest. This is my brother. This is like a mentor. This is like a life coach. He's one of the most resourceful brothers I know in this world. I've pivoted post-pandemic into the video production, filmmaking side, and this guy is probably the most, how can I call it? He's kind of the guy that helped catapult me and help me pivot with confidence. And so a lot of what I do, I honestly wouldn't get a full comprehension about this pivoting from music into film if it wasn't for my brother, Chris Black.
Hey, my man.
Man, but he's more than just that, okay? I just don't want to just introduce him. Hey, this is the guy who's helped me pivot into film. I don't know if there's a word that can say the most resourceful, but from a spiritual aspect, from a wisdom aspect, from just so many different aspects of life, I consider him a tremendous giant, a well that just poured. But he's humble, but so resourceful, man. And so, thank you so much for joining the podcast, being a part of my first episode of season 5. I'll talk about that another time. But it's hard to ask or even put yourself out there. And I talked about being comfortable with no, and I got a lot of those no's, or no answers. But you didn't hesitate to say, let's do it. And that break gave me such a jolt of energy. And I'm so excited about this because this conversation, we talked a little bit about it, but there's a lot we haven't talked about. So I'm excited to hold this conversation with you and just want to again, introduce the world. If you haven't known this guy, Chris Black, let the world know who you are, man. Come on.
Well, first, let me say thank you for allowing me to be a part of what you're doing. What you said, I reciprocate because just knowing you has been a great honor and a pleasure on my end. And it's a big deal to know famous Amos, okay? So it's no small thing, but I mean, we've had a lot of life together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In a short period of time, to be honest with you, but I've seen you do a lot of great things and just excited to be a part of that again. So thank you for being a part of that. I am just Chris Black. I do run a small pro audio, video, and lighting company. But in the end, I'm just here to help where I can.
Yes, sir.
Right? That's my whole deal. It's been my whole deal, since I started working in the church, to be honest with you.
Yes, sir.
I like behind the scenes and but doing my part.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And the most I can do. So
yeah, I love it, man. What you've kind of exemplified is like you're more than just what you do. You know what I'm saying? So many people get so tied up in what they do. I do this, and that's my identity. But like for you, you're more than just a AV guy. I mean, you're like a human encyclopedia when it comes to that. But like with life and just wisdom and just common sense, like you are just all around real God, like brother, man. Like,
Thank
and
you,
so it's encouraging. And anytime I need, I guess, someone to glean off of, like, okay, if Chris can do it, I can do it.
Oh, 100%. If I could do it, anybody could do it. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Listen,
I'm gonna tell you that
this
right
pivot was
now.
hard for me, and it is hard for me. Like I've been a musician. I'm 44. I've been a musician since I was 14. I started when I was 6. My dad started me when I was 6. So it's been a long journey as a musician. That's all I know. Recently, I mean, but even through my music world, I've dibbled and dabbled, and I've collabed with quite a few, film guys, video production guys, but it was never a focal point until these last few years.
Right.
And so connecting with you, you gave me the confidence. It's like, you can do this. Like, you're not strange for pivoting, you know. You're not strange for doing more than what you're known to do. And so, because you're more than just what you know what I'm saying? Like I said, you're more than just what you do. There's so much more to you, and you're comfortable in walking in that. And so I just had to give you your props, man. Thank you for just being that resource, because I recall in this short pivot world, and I conquered some huge feats. I did a huge convention a couple years ago. It was honestly, it was a little intimidating, but with you just supporting me and the team, we were able to conquer that thing, and it was like, oh, okay, no big deal. We did it. But I just want the world to know, like, listen, man, connect with people like Chris, man, that has the experience and the knowledge, and just the attitude behind the humility. Is like, you can be so arrogant if you wanted to, be the stuff that you've done, but you choose not to. I wish people would just learn that, like, you don't gotta be a jerk or somebody unapproachable just because you've done what you've accomplished. But one thing I've been talking about is overcoming fears. Like, what are you afraid of? This is what we're gonna talk. What are you afraid of? Now, I don't want to point you out, but I'm gonna ask myself, Amos, what are you afraid of? Is it fear of rejection, fear of failure? You know what I'm saying? Fear of success.
That's a real thing, by the way.
I see that now. People I'd rather fail than succeed.
That's right.
They'll do everything in their power to fail because it's And so, what are you afraid of? And talking to you, you've experienced and you've done so many things, and you've took many leaps of faith. Yeah. And as successful as you are today, you also have many experiences that weren't quite as successful.
100%.
And sometimes in talking to you, it's a challenge. Like, you challenge me. He was like, dude, what are you afraid of? And I think that's probably the most apropos subject to talk to you about, is because it's like every time I get off the phone or finish talking to you, I'll be like, man, I shouldn't be afraid of this. Like, this is, you know what I'm saying? And so I asked that question, what are you afraid of? Some people, are just afraid of uncertainty, unfamiliarity. They want to stay to the familiar. So there's somebody who could be the next Elon Musk.
Right.
But they're sitting on it because they have that fear of change, fear of stepping out. Right. And talking to you, you're helping me kind of jump out of that comfort zone. Like, I can stay Amos the musician forever because I'm good at it.
Yeah, you're good at it.
But there's more to me than just music.
Right. And the real problem is that good is the enemy to great.
Facts. Right? Yeah.
And so a lot of people are good at something and they make that their life, whatever. And nothing's wrong with that. True. The problem is they're hiding behind their good. And so they'll never be great because they're literally hiding behind the good. And so they're okay with being good, and they're okay with people patting them on the back about being good, right?
Yes.
Because to be great means to do something else. And it's hard to do. It's not an easy thing to do. That's why everybody's not great. And if you really think about the people that are great, you've probably said something negative about them, or they get a lot of negativity, and then we turn around and go, man, they're great, right? And they're willing to, right? Mm-hmm. They're willing to go through what most people aren't willing to go through.
That's good. That's so true. Dealing with discomfort, I think people are just afraid of discomfort. Like, this is a comfortable chair.
Comfortable.
I can sit here for hours. Right. But you get me to sit on the floor.
Right.
I'm not going to last long because it's uncomfortable.
Right.
But if sitting on the floor is going to lead me to have better posture, which is probably backward, but I'm saying, like the discomfort leads to a better thing. A lot of people honestly will opt to just sit on a chair and like, I'm not going to sit on the floor for better posture.
Right.
Like, I'd rather just be comfortable.
Right.
And have bad posture.
Yeah, and not realize it's going to cost me, in my middle age, not in the old age. It used to be you kind of look at an older person and you realize like you could see things costing them in their old age. But now you're going to pay the price sooner in this modern world for a lot of things.
Yes.
That's why, I'm old enough. I remember, when the teacher would tell you, sit up straight. But you don't realize sitting up like this for a long period of time, it's just going to hump your back out, right, earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's going to create other problems because more than likely you're sitting like that all the time and on your couch or something, eating potato chips, getting big, enjoying, and now you got heart condition, right?
Yeah.
Now you got cancer, and that's not the only way you get cancer, so I'm not. But I'm saying it creates so many other problems. That and what happens is it's like simmering. So it happens over time slowly. And next thing you know, you got a problem and you're like, where did that come from? Well, it came from all the other bad habits that really aren't like evil habits. They're just bad enough over a long period of time.
Compound, yep.
Compounded.
They compound and, comfort again is so accessible. It's so, saying like being comfortable. We get it. Life is tough.
Right.
We deal with so much, so I get it. Certain comforts help. It's healing. It's revitalizing. But when it becomes a crutch and builds a handicap, that's when for me I get on. Like I said, okay, I can't stay here. So I'm in the season of taking this leap of faith. And I've noticed, like, right before me, all these fears in front of me. I'm looking at it, oh my gosh. I noticed in past seasons in my life, I will run away from it and stick to and I noticed I end up paying for it at the end. So this is the reason why I took the leap of faith now, because I was like, no, I don't want to stay here because I didn't like where it led me in the past. So I'm old enough to notice, like, okay, I've been in similar crossroads where I opted to stay in a comfortable and familiar space, knowing that I've been called to greater.
Yeah.
But I would just hid behind the good.
Yeah. It's easy to do.
It's easier to do.
But it's not just easy to do. And let's be fair. You got you got your family to deal with.
Truth.
You got kids. You got the bills. Those are real things. You might have a parent that's sick. You might, or a family member that you got to take care of.
That's real.
It's not like saying it's easy to make the decision to stop doing the thing that's helping you to take care of all of the business you're being responsible enough to take care of.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to do that, especially as a man.
Truth.
Okay. The only problem with that though is there comes a point where you could have made another decision that wouldn't hurt as bad in the time if you had made it then than making it later. Right? And that's what happens to people. Sometimes there's a call to switch, change jobs or something, right? And you don't do it, right? And you just stay there too long, again, in the comfort zone, and then seasons go by. And the problem with seasons is this. When somebody say you're in this season or that season, and that it sounds good, especially in the spirit where, this season, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So there's only 4 seasons, okay?
Yes, sir.
There's 4 seasons. There's winter, there's summer, winter, spring, and fall. However you want to do it. There's spring, summer, fall, winter. It don't matter how you do it. And the thing about seasons are that they have a certain period that you're in one and then you're in the other.
Yeah.
And when people miss the period, so for instance, the period of sowing, right, is only 1 out of 4 of those seasons. You got a quarter to deal with this. So when you miss that quarter, 75% of the time, you cannot go back to now sow. So if you miss sowing, you have a problem. And in the sense of a spiritual realm, the seasons may not come every 3 months, right? So missing a sowing season, missing a time to plant, missing a time to do good so that it comes back later, missing a time to invest, missing a time to make a move, means you got to wait 3 times as long for it to come back around. And people miss that.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't. And so
100%.
And that's what I realized.
Yeah.
I started noticing, I said, Amos, I feel that knock. The opportunity. Don't ignore it this time.
Right.
Because there's been times when I felt that knock and I was in a good space. I was making good money. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't happy, but I was like, this is it. I mean, then of course, family. I have a kid. There's some things that are involved, and I ended up paying for it.
Yeah.
I ended up being resentful, being full of regret. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Looking at others, starting doing that comparison game. Oh, look at that person. Looking at, you know what I'm saying? Like that life was not healthy.
Right.
And so I've noticed I noticed that season comes back around again. It took a couple of years. I'm older. I've got enough scars. I'm like, okay, I've taken enough hits now. I'm noticing I have like this temporary discomfort is nothing worth. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing compared to the bigger issues by missing the season.
Right.
I noticed my season to pivot. I was like, okay, I welcome this challenge. So that's the reason why I don't necessarily complain as much that I'm in this uncomfortable season, because it's just the season.
That's the season.
It's just the season. In waiting, and while you in it, it's like you in like this box of solitary confinement. Minutes feels like hours.
Right.
Hours feels like days.
Right.
But once you get out, you look back, I was only there for 5 minutes.
Right. Right.
It's just a speckle of the bigger picture. And so I've learned to just pick up that perspective. Like, okay, you're in it. It feels sluggish. Everything feels slow. Time is just like, but and I keep reminding myself, Amos, this too shall pass. It's just a season. Endure this. Embrace the discomfort. That's been my word now.
Yeah.
Embrace the discomfort. Something I don't like. None of us like discomfort. Right. That is the most craziest statement or phrase I've said to myself. Amos, embrace the discomfort. But I've been saying that because it's like, it's only a season.
Right.
It's like lifting weights. We both into fitness.
Right.
It's sometimes doing the set, it's uncomfortable.
Right.
But if you keep pressing through, even when you struggle, I can't. You struggle, you throw, and you press that last set. Sometimes you might need a spotter. Sometimes I look at you as my spotter. Sometimes I'm running into a difficulty, and here you go like, man, you get that one finger, you just like.
That's all people need though. like you ain't even doing that. Like the person still lifted it up. They just needed something to help, right? And a lot of times, so you were saying this being, embrace the discomfort. And what a lot of people miss is you're in a season to grow. That means you're supposed to be learning something. So the reason why a lot of people keep walking around the same mountain because they never learn anything. So for me, I'm gonna jump right into scripture. So what Amos didn't say was, I preach.
Yes.
Okay, and so this isn't my calling card for somebody to call me to preach. What I'm saying is that I know the word. Now, everybody might not believe in God, and that's your prerogative. I do, and I believe his word.
Yes.
And with that, one thing that God says is, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Now, if you really think about it, it's not sin, it's not the devil, it's not your brother, it's not other people. It's what you don't know that is causing your biggest problems. True. Or it's what you're not accepting or not opening your eyes to see, right? It's all those things. And what happens is people sit in a space where it's uncomfortable because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't, not only do you not have a vision for the future, you have no vision of anything. You're waiting for something to happen. And in those times, you got to, one, keep moving, right? And then, but two, you got to figure out, like, what is this all about? And what people don't do is go on the journey. So the whole life deal is a journey.
Yes, sir.
But nobody goes on the journey. They get to this point, and it's like the beginning of the journey. You're like, but I'm 40. It's like, it doesn't matter. You at the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
You're trying to do what somebody else does. You talk about Elon Musk, or let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg, or you talk about Jeff Bezos, and we're just talking about people of industry. But they had to start somewhere, had to take criticism, had to endure lawsuits and people saying this, that, and the other. And now you look at them, and then, they've been billionaires forever. They are philanthropists. They help this. They change whole cities by what they do, right? Coming in. And so you can't forget their other impacts that they create. They create jobs for other people to work. And you talk about them in one sense, but in another sense, look what they brought in. Look at the levels of comfort they've given by you being able to click that button on Amazon.
We've benefited greatly.
Right? From 3 people, you've benefited greatly. Just 3. So how would it be if everybody gave that same kind of level of energy to making life different? Or let's just say for your family, you're like, I want for my family to have the best life I could give them.
Yes, sir.
Well, the sacrifice is great.
Yes, it is. And I'm so thankful for my daughter. My daughter is like my number one cheerleader, literally, because she's like, Daddy, you're gonna make it. Like, she's always like, Daddy, I love you. I mean, because at her young age of 10, she noticed it's a sacrifice, and sometimes you want to hide it from them, but I'm learning, like, sometimes she needs to see the journey and understand when we get to the other side, it's like she realized that wasn't easy. I've seen Daddy when he was sad. 100%. Now that we're happy and all that stuff, she understands the dynamic, so she has a better appreciation for journey when she goes through her journey. Right. You know what I'm saying? It may not be a little easier because of what we sacrifice as parents. And so I notice it's like, listen, to shift from good to great, it's going to require the discomfort, the unfamiliarity, uncertainty.
That's right.
The risk.
Right.
It's a risk. Right. It's a risk to stay put. It's a risk to take a leap forward.
That's right. That's right. All of it's a risk. And what's so bad about it, you mentioned, I've been through things that weren't successful. They weren't good. They didn't feel good. Didn't taste good. Have you sitting over in a corner with a thumb in your mouth, because, I heard somebody say that what happens is you go from not knowing to trying to know something to then being successful at it. And then that success, as it starts to route back around, you get complacent and then you get back to failing. And each and every time, so like lifting weights, right? So you continue, if you lift weights for health reasons, meaning just to stay, keep your muscles, just intact and just stay, it don't take a whole lot. If you're trying to get bulky and big, that's a whole different story, right? You're going for Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe. But just trying to maintain when you're at 20 is like nothing. Right, body seems like you can lift a fork and you get a muscle, right? Man, 30, 35, it's a little bit different. Takes a little bit more work.
40 and up is
but 40 and up, and if you start like I didn't start back lifting weights after a long hiatus, right? Until last year, and it's more difficult to put the muscle back on, right? It takes a little bit more work. Got to lift a little bit heavier. You got to do a little bit more things. And most people aren't willing to pay the sacrifice at the point where they have to start, and that's why you end up looking at somebody else going, I should have been like that or this, that, and other. You got to immediately let that go and start your journey, like right now today.
Yep.
If you want to change, if you want to write that book, if you want to write that song, if you want to learn how to play, if you want to. And the thing about it is, information is so easily accessible now. There's really no reason not to do the thing you want to do.
Yes, sir.
But you've already said that you asked, what are you afraid of? And fear, which lives only in your head, is the only thing holding everybody back. And no matter how we talk about it, it's still going to be a challenge for some people to let that go. the thing about it is that means you're just around people who will not help you get to where you want to go.
That's
but
spotter.
You're so comfortable with those people, you refuse to let them go.
Listen, having the right spotter, I'm so thankful that I've made the adjustment. See, so now I'm in this season. I've noticed that my environment has changed. My phone doesn't ring as often, which is completely fine with me.
Right.
I'm not Mr. Popularity, which is fine. That shows that as you climb a mountain, you notice it's not. Your surroundings are smaller. The higher you get, the smaller the peak. You realize it's like you can't carry too many people the higher you get, and so I use that as an advance. I use that as an encouragement. Like you're growing, you're elevating. Now I wish it reflected on my bank account, but that's another story. But the thing is that I notice is like you're getting wise, you're getting strong, you get more confident on who you are. Like purpose. Like I notice now is like Amos, don't chase money. Chase purpose. Right. You are on this earth for a God-given purpose. And so once you know that, everything else, like what I said, seek ye first, that's what the word says. Right. Seek ye first the things of God, the kingdom of God. Right. And his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And so I notice it's like, okay, don't chase the money. Right. Chase what God has for you. You know what I'm saying? What God has called you to be. And I'm noticing is like, okay, Amos, what are you here for? Yeah. Don't chase another high salary job. Right. That comes and goes. And I said, so I'm in this stage in my life where I'm like, okay, I want to be where God wants me to be, needs me to be. Yeah. And then everything else that come. And so I'm noticing like with that comes a certain isolation. Yep. It's almost like noise cancellation. Like the noise all of a sudden just dissipates because you don't have as much people around you. Now, if you're noticing there's a lot of noise around you, obviously you're right. You need to start filtering out the people that you're around. You know what I'm saying? The people that are feeding the negativity, the people that are feeding the questioning. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you're around somebody that constantly has you questioning yourself, that's a problem. You know? So doing that inventory of your surroundings and knowing, okay, do I have the right spotters around me? The people who's going to help me do more difficult things, challenge me. Yeah. If you got people who don't really need to spot you, you're obviously lifting really familiar weight.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you what's the hard part about that though. See, this is why people can't escape the situation. Mm-hmm. One, you have to be just a little bit more confident than everybody else about you, and that's hard. Okay, hard. It is. It's hard. And the reason why I say that is because your mother, your dad, your uncle, aunt, cousin, friend, best friend, friends you know, associates, people you don't work with. Most of them are not malicious when they say
truth. They mean well.
They mean well.
They mean well. Yep.
They mean well. They want you safe. They've seen somebody else do it. So, hey, man, look, I hear what you're saying, but they're not really negative people, okay? And they have your best interest at heart. But remember, all those people want to play it safe. And there's nothing wrong with playing it safe if that's what you really want to do in life. Truth. It's not. And the reason why I say it's not, because there's no point of trying to hype somebody up to jump off a cliff. And with they got a parachute on, they got rope, and they still won't do it because they're too afraid. All they're going to do is jump out there and mess up. They really are. But for the people who want something different, if you're not just a little bit more confident to lose those friends, then those people will keep you back, and you all may be great. Literally, they may be perfectly sane, good family members, good people of society. Like, there's nothing wrong with those people.
That's fine. They both because they can both exist.
Right, but they're just bad enough for you, and that's what you don't want to see.
I can attest to that, Chris. I'll be honest, because in many eyes. And they may never say it to me. And for those who are close in my family and close, they may think I was completely crazy for quitting my job.
Yeah, for sure.
They never said it to me. Right. But I'm not stupid. I know my people. Yeah. But the confidence that I do not regret quitting my job. Right. I had no reason to. I was in a really good spot.
Right.
I was comfortable. I was in a good zone. I can literally do my job with my eyes closed.
Right.
Forever.
Yeah.
But I felt that call to move out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I was fearful, afraid. I was afraid of that because it's unknown. Like, yo, this is a sure shot.
Right.
I don't got to do nothing.
Right.
So of course, yeah, it's like, what's happening to your daughter? You just got divorced. You got this and that. These things, but I had the confidence in knowing this is what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I still have it because I honestly go through that process again. I was like, are you sure?
100%.
I'm human now. Like,
Trust me.
And at the end of the day, Chris, I am confident that this is what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
As uncomfortable, as uncertain as this season of my life is, Chris, I am certain for sure I made the right decision by leaving that job. I love that job. There was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But I am confident this is what I needed to do.
Right.
When you said that word, it struck something in me because it's like, the old me would have waited to get 18 confirmations. Like, Amos, this is the right thing. This is the right thing. I didn't get none of that.
Yeah.
I didn't get none of that.
Yeah.
I was literally, it was me. The confidence, I had the confidence on this is what I needed to do. That confidence, that self-confidence is so good because, of course, we would love our family to stroke us in the back, and pat us in the back. You're the champion, yeah. But what happens when you don't get that?
Yeah, right. So I'm 28 years old. I have just been promoted to this great position. Corporate America, a company was over $2 billion. I had a great position, one that I wanted. Got it, 28, right? That was like October of whatever year that was. And when I turned 29 in January. So just like 3 months later, right? I felt the call to leave and go help my church and start a business. Mind you, I just got in that position. Jeez. Now, I wrestled with it for about a month. Talked to my wife about it. Talked to my pastor about it, and in February, so next month, I walked in my director's office and I quit. So I quit. They offered me more money. I said, if it was about the money, if I was trying to strong arm you, that's one thing. I said, but you know me, I don't do that. And plus, I just got this promotion, and I didn't leave until July because that's how important my position was.
Wow. Okay.
So I quit in February. I didn't leave till July 31st of 2004.
Wow.
2004, and had a little bit of money, so I had a cushion, right? Blah, blah, blah. And probably about 6 months in, boy, I was like, did I make the right decision?
Mine just truncated, just short. It's similar, like I normally you give a 30-day notice. I gave them 6 months notice.
Yeah.
Because I knew the value that I carried.
Yeah.
I knew that my role was extremely important, so I didn't just want to abandon ship, especially in such a transition that the job was in. And so I left, and this is relatively recent, and so I had a little cushion. I said, okay, 30, 60 days, I'm good. Now we're into 90 days. I didn't... Are you sure this is what you need to do? I go through that. Chris, at least I go through that probably once or twice a week where
trust me. I told myself I wasn't going back to corporate America no matter how this turned out.
Wow.
And then I found myself putting in a job app. I remember doing it.
Yeah.
But I kept telling myself, I know I can make it. I knew I was missing knowledge. So mind you, I became self-employed. I am helping my church, but I became self-employed. So that way I could provide working for a church is fine, but I knew I wanted to make more money.
And that's, in this transitional season, Chris, I am becoming more confident in what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Right. Right. Right.
It's crazy because it's like there's such a clarity that's coming. Like, you know what? I don't necessarily want to work for a church anymore.
Right.
I don't mind helping.
Right. For sure.
At first, when I first did the transition, I said, okay, I'm not doing church anymore. I said, no. I think I still want to help. So I don't mind, but that's not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you know what I'm saying? And when you said that, I was like, I had that same epiphany. Like, I don't want to leave church because that's always gonna be.
That's who I am.
That's who I am. Like, but what else God has for me is beyond, and that's where I'm focusing on.
And that's what people have to understand, that life. So a lot of people get caught up in church, and I when I say this, understand what I'm saying. Like, understand my heart and saying.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it for them. Mm-hmm. For some people, your role in church. So remember, we are the church, right? People are the church. The buildings aren't the church. Now that's a place where you go, and that's fine. We call it church, and and that's a business. It's an organization that's ran. It has systems in it. Each church runs and operates a certain kind of way. And some people they want to work for the church, and they're gonna be there, and they do it, and that's fine. I would still say they're not doing what God would have them to do.
Facts.
Okay, but in the midst of everything, when you really look at like life. Like God needs people to impact other people, not being the nice secretary at the desk. That's one thing. You should be nice, but that's human beings should be nice. Not you shouldn't have to be a Christian to be nice. Okay, so that's not even the same thing. And so if you was to really look at what you was supposed to do or what you could do and your talents. Then you would open up more to the world because you would realize God is for the world, not for the one block that you're at.
Because they already got God. There's some people that never seen or experienced Christ before, and that's what I noticed even pivoting into the film and video production industry, because it's like we get into that and it's like God wants you to be a light.
100%.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to walk into the industry with a big Bible imprinted in your shirt, but be who you are.
Right.
We need your presence just in that industry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the church, they know you saved and filled with the Holy, you good. But they need that. You need to go where I need you to go. So it's like I said, go ye therefore. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's what I noticed, the burden, like Amos, that people need that light, like the same presence you have when you walk inside of a building at the church. When they see me behind my keyboard, there's a confidence like, oh yeah,
100%.
We need that same confidence when you walk into the corporate, the secular side, the production meetings, and you know what I'm saying. That same presence to the unsaved.
That's right,
and that's where the impact.
And if you look at it like that. So if you look at it like that, which is the way I look at things, right? Like being in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But it's not in the marketplace so I could preach to anybody. It's in the marketplace to be a light and to be different. Because what I found, especially in the AVL industry, like it's so cold and cutthroat and heartless.
Yes.
Now, I love technology, right? So I want to do this, right? I want to do the tech side. But a lot of times, man, I've met so many people that at a personal level, these people they're broken, right? They're torn. They've been abused and used. And to see somebody else, I mean, I got friends in the industry, and we've done 24-hour production. Like, don't go to sleep. I mean, I'm serious. Like, we've done the craziest stuff. And at the same time, I can be me. I can be the respected person of God doing these jobs at a high level. It doesn't matter. What people generally want is for somebody else to pat them on the back and praise them. And that's what I hate the most, because the fear piece comes from the fact that from some point in their youth up to the point as an adult, life has taught them to not take the chances.
Yes, that's, I was reflecting as an artist. I'm also a recording artist. My first album, I recorded in 2004. I was fearless. I could care less if nobody liked my music. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to put every song. And I did it that way. Then life started moving. I got a little older. I got a little few things. Then I started hesitating more. because I started being concerned of how, you know what I'm saying?
So now you're in fear of loss. No, that's what that would be. You gain something, and now you don't ever want to lose that, right? But anyway, go ahead. But that's
And
what
so
it is.
as time progressed and as older and more things add on to my life, house, mortgage, you know what I'm saying? Diapers and formula, and you know what I'm saying? You're afraid there's a fear of loss. If I take this risk,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's fine. And I noticed that started plaguing my creativity.
Yeah.
I could have been on album number 10 by now.
Right.
But I started thinking like, I'm old. These people, these young bucks, man, they run circles around me, and there's no space for me. And it's like, bruh, there is plenty of space. You are valued. You are needed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it takes me now. That's 2004. 20 years later.
20 years later.
Jeez.
Wow. Go by like that, right?
20 years later from my first album,
Yep.
I'm getting ready to work on my new album, and I am trying to revive this fearlessness of, man, I'm just gonna do what I'm here to do, regardless whether it's 1 or 1 million. I had said that at 2004. Whether it's one person to buy at the time CDs, Lord
Right,
Jesus,
right.
CDs. That's
Right.
when you know we had
Right.
physical CDs.
Right.
Now it's streaming, and then, which is a different. Whether it's one stream or a billion streams.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to stick to that.
Yeah.
But so much life has happened in 20 years,
Right.
which is fine. You kind of have to rehabilitate and get back to that fearlessness.
Yeah.
To get back, but many people never get back to that fearlessness because life starts adding so much more to life, and there's more to lose. Yeah, there's more. You know.
Yeah. I mean, fear of loss is real. But I mean, it plagues a lot of people. The only thing I would say, because I'm not acting like none of those things aren't real. It's but that's how the enemy, and sometimes the enemy is you. But that's how the enemy keeps you from doing that thing that would be greater, is to make you look at what happens if, right? The what if statements. And that's why you have to have, you can have the people that can help you think safe.
Yes.
You need that side, and then you need somebody who would be like, look, we about to go jump on a plane right now, and the plane's gonna land, but we're gonna jump out of it. And the reason why is because if all you hear, so remember, faith comes by hearing.
Yes.
But if all you ever hear is play it safe, you will never be LeBron. You'll never be Kobe. You'll never be Michael Jordan. You'll never be, all those people who tend to just jump out, who seem to have jumped out, but really were willing to take the last shot, even if it didn't go in.
Yeah.
Because there's more things lost than what most people realize.
Truth.
You lose more often than you realize. It's such a minimum thing that it doesn't bother you. But then when you say, okay, quit your job and go, because obviously people think more money is a blessing from God, and that's not the case.
No, it's not.
The thing about it is, if God is the source, and again, I believe God. So you don't have to. I mean, it's your prerogative. What I'm saying is, I believe God is the source. My job is to work. So if I don't work, the Bible says, if you don't work, neither should you eat.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about that about money. I was talking about some investments yesterday. And if your money isn't working for you, then your money is never going to do anything that gets you where you want to go. All you're going to ever do is spend it.
Yep.
So realistically, what you should always try to do is invest in yourself, because you are the thing.
The source.
You are that thing, right?
God has created created in you.
Exactly.
And so for me, I noticed my God ask has changed. I'm not asking God for money. I'm not asking God for more money. I said, God, I want to be able to do what I am called to do.
Right.
Because it's changed. Because there have been seasons when I asked, hey, God, I need a job to pay this bill.
Right.
Now, you know what I ask? I don't ask God the money for the pay the bill. I said, God, open the door for me that I don't have to worry about bills ever again.
Got it. So he put me here today so he can answer that request for you. I'm going to show you something.
Yeah.
It's in the scriptures. It says, give, and it shall be given. What else to that? Go ahead, finish the rest
down,
of it.
Shaking together, running over.
Run it over. Shall who?
Men.
Shall men give into your bosom.
Yeah.
Not God. So if you help enough people, so this is from Zig Ziglar. Mm-hmm. I've used this ever since I've heard Zig say, I love Zig Ziglar. Most of y'all don't even know who Zig Ziglar is. Yeah. It's for older people. Zig said, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything that you want.
That's a word. Man, you messed me up. God, that just hit me like a ton of bricks.
So here's why people don't make enough money or don't have enough money. Really, mostly everybody makes enough money. It's how you want to spend it that makes you feel like you don't have enough money. But that's a whole different story. Here's why people can't have the money that they want, and it's because they won't become valuable enough to other people to be awarded that kind of money. See, when you become valuable enough to other people, they'll pay you what you're worth. So you can go and try to command it all you want before your time. So that's why we were talking earlier, I was talking about what price are you willing to pay. Well, as a musician, you've paid that price. Like you saying people could, run circles around you. The truth is, you just kind of in that moment gave way to not trying to do what they were doing. Mm-hmm. Truth is, you could have got up and then as they were running circles, you'd start running more circles.
True.
I mean, that's what
real.
would have happened.
That's real, yeah.
You have time on them. Now, the thing about it is, as you transition, things are a little bit harder. But as they get harder, they'll get easier. So, the first day in the gym isn't like day 100 in the gym.
No, it's not.
Right? Mm-hmm. First day on that walking machine or on that elliptical or whatever, boy, you like, I'll never go back. All right?
Yeah.
You trying to kill me. That's what people say, right? You trying to kill me.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, you go back day after day, your body gets used to it. Now you need more resistance, and you're just getting stronger. You're getting better. You're getting faster, and it's easy to do because it's the physical body. It's harder to do when it's in the mind.
Man, you messed me up because I'm telling you, at 44 years of age, I've gone through a lot of transitions, a lot of forks in the road. I've been in quite a few, but this fork in the road, it's not requiring a physical aspect of me. Honestly, it's not even requiring much of a spiritual.
Right.
Because I'm walking in a certain authority.
Right.
It's requiring a lot of this.
Yep.
My mind.
Right.
Every day I have to literally renew my mind. Be transferred by the renewing of your mind every day because I realized like my thinking was so small.
Right.
Now I'm just like every day I'm reminding myself, Amos, you got to keep going. Like you got to keep growing. This has been the most emotional and mentally challenging season because it's like the growth. I didn't realize that there was so much in those areas in my mind and in my emotions that needed growth. And this season is not a physical. It's not. I need to pray more. Like me and God, we here. Like He's looking at me like I've given you all the tools. You know what to do. You got to walk this thing out. You got to. And so the mind right now. That's. I've noticed, I watch sports, and my favorite team in football is the Ravens.
Okay.
And they were playing the Chiefs. And I literally watched. Now, everybody knew the Ravens were the most physically ready team. They were physically superior than the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. But mentally, they were just outsmarted.
Yeah.
And that's how powerful the mind is. It's like
powerful the mind is.
The mind, like it will you whether to lose or win. And so I noticed they had the physical. They could literally impose their will upon the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But you know what Mahomes did? His mind outwilled everything. I was like, he's outsmarting them.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say is like I noticed the power of minds. Like the mind, it's not the physical that makes a champion. Right. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. They're physically they're just. But what makes them different? I seen it when I watched Michael Jordan's Last Dance, how his mind works.
Right.
Because he knew that some of these teams were way better than he was.
Right.
So I say all that to say, it's like you said, the mind is such a powerful thing, and that's probably what I've learned that it was fueling my fear. What was I afraid of? It was the way I was thinking, my mind. Like I was like, if you keep thinking yourself small, you're gonna remain small, Amos.
Yeah.
If you keep thinking yourself just being just a church musician,
Yeah.
you're gonna remain a church musician.
Right.
You got to start thinking bigger.
Right.
Once you start thinking bigger, and that's sometimes the enemy, and like sometimes the enemy is yourself, but sometimes the enemy attacks that mind. The way you think is like you know, and so this season has been so intense mentally for me because it's like, in order to grow, I'm gonna have to tighten up in the way I think, like not allow those negative ways of viewing myself, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going into a whole soapbox because it's messed me up to realize how far off my thinking was, how important my thinking is in this season of growth.
Right. Right.
Like, Amos, you're not gonna grow into the next level or level up until you deal with the way you think.
100%, right? And but you made me think about something. So there's two people in the Bible. This is for now all the Bible people, right? There's two people in the Bible, and you kind of went down the road of at least one of them, but there's the thought process that nobody ever talks about these two people. I'm the first one ever. This is the podcast that is going to go down in history. First one ever to pull two judges out and show you how they were thinking about what they were doing. So you think about Gideon, right? So the angel of the Lord comes to Gideon and then calls him a mighty man of valor, but he was really hiding, right?
Yeah.
He was hiding, trying to press, press in a wine press, trying to hide food and stuff. Hate to really call him a coward, but he was, right? And so, but the first thing was the angel of the Lord, threw into his mind, hey, mighty man of valor, right? Trying to get his mind right. And then he was like, well, if it's the Lord, then, do this. And then if it's the Lord, then still do that. And no matter how the Lord showed him, he was like, well, do this one more thing, right?
Lord have mercy.
And then finally you're like, okay, right? And then he gets going. And because he does what he does, and the Lord, in essence, without saying, like the Lord didn't come up to a group of people and go, here's Gideon, he's great. Because, remember, I'm talking about value. Gideon becomes a leader who's willing to help this certain group of Israelites out of, and so you get Gideon's 300 out of all this, and therefore, then they're like, hey, become the king of all of Israel. Right? Because of what he does. That's value. That's what happens. People don't want to put themselves out to create value. And he was like, I don't want to rule y'all. And he went on by his way. Now, but I'm talking about mindset. His first mindset, coward, hiding, didn't want to do it, had to be overly assured. Difference from Samson, though. Samson born, he know he the man. Right? He's born the man.
Yes.
And he knows he's the man. Now, mind you, he don't want riches or nothing like that, but he is the man, so he acts out. He acts. He's looking for whorish women. He don't care about what
making.
But that's because he know y'all can't whoop me. That's a whole different mindset.
Yes, sir.
Y'all can't beat me.
Wow.
Y'all can't whoop me. Two judges. Two different ways they come into the world or come to prominence, if you would. One is like, I was born to be like this. And so when you think about most royal people, that's how they act. And I don't mean arrogant. I mean, they understand, no, I was born to be king.
Value.
I was born to be a prince.
Yeah.
I expect things to happen like this. And everybody else don't walk in expectation.
No.
They don't walk in, I'm a child of God for those who are. And my father is a king, and I'm really a child of the king. Now, it's not that what I can command from you. One, I should be respectful. So that's how most people aren't. So that's why they don't get respect. I should raise my level of education. I should try my best to help others less than me, and they don't. Everybody always got their hand out. They got good paying jobs, still got their hand out. They always still want something, a hookup, this, that, and the other.
Oh, Lord.
But that's not the child of a king. Everybody that's rich most people that's rich, not everybody. I got you. I got your internet. I got your internet. But most people that are rich give more than people who cry about rich people giving or should be giving. Most people who have money outgive most anybody else.
Truth.
And so when you have something, you don't worry about giving it. Or you think about grandmama back in the day. Grandmama helped her kids out and the kids
block.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, the whole block, yeah.
But see, now grandmama is 30 because, and ain't helping nobody out. She at the club. And so not learning, not knowing that lack of knowledge of how to be a human to other humans is what causes the fear in a whole lot of people, because it's like, you've been told to get yours, right? Get out and get yours because somebody's gonna do something to you. And yet there's so many people who want to help folks and you can't hear it.
But that's the only way you can grow and get more is by giving. It's
that's right.
So it's like greatness and achieving the next level requires, releasing. My therapist, he's like, Amos, you've gone through so much. You've learned too much to keep this to yourself.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm back on this podcast.
Yeah.
I've sat for 2 years in therapy, and he's a believer too. He's a minister, and so it's half therapy and half half spirit, Bible study basically.
Right.
And he's like, Amos, you got too much in you to be sitting here and keeping this to yourself. Like you got to share this with every. You know what I'm saying? Like all that you have within you is not for you.
Right.
It's for some other people to benefit.
It's for other people. And that's what we don't get. If we just understood your life is really for other people.
And to achieve that greatness is going to require, you know what I'm saying, that giving heart, that me releasing what's in. First of all, having an awareness what's in you in the first place.
Right. But remember something too, again, if Jesus is our Lord, he said, if you want to be great, you got to be a servant.
Least of them, yeah. The greatest of them, the least, yeah.
You gotta minister literally means to serve.
Period.
But we done took that word, minister means now you serve me, right? And so, but I'm not trying to make this churchy. What I'm saying is, if we learn to help other people, like my life, man, I got so many mentors in my own life.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay. I told you, probably from day one, hey man, you need something, you call me, right? Like let's just talk about it. Because I know how I was helped. I promise you, whoever you are listening right now, get my email from Amos. I will help you. Yeah. And because I know what it's like to not know. Brother, when I told you about me leaving my job in 2004, I did not become profitable in business till 2008. I struggled for almost 4 years. And when I became profitable, because it was so hard, I took my profits and I chilled for like 3 months because it was so hard. Why? Because I was learning the hard way. Yeah. I was learning hard lessons. Yes. And I wasn't getting good information from good people. It was good people along the way, but just not the people I needed. But once you hit a certain point, so think about it. You're in elementary from, if you count kindergarten, K through 6, right? In Texas, it was like middle school is 7 and 8. So you were in elementary for like 7 years, but you're only in high school for 4. Right? Yeah. So as you go up and you get past the fundamentals, you're supposed to catch that other stuff faster, which allows you to move quicker.
Yes, sir.
But see what happens, man, these people, so many people stuck at 4th grade.
It's familiar. It's easy.
It's easy.
And that's what people are afraid of, graduating and going to being challenged. Social media is making things so easy. YouTube is making things so easy. Like it almost creates a bypass to the struggle.
Right.
Like you and I didn't have a YouTube.
100%.
Like we had to go to sit in the library and go and search for things. And, I said earlier about encyclopedias. Like people are like, what's that? Like we didn't have Google. We literally had to do.
You had to read.
You had to read.
Yeah.
And so now it's the challenge. That middle part of the struggle of getting the information is gone. So people take it for granted. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, to see so many successful content creators who don't go to school, who don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So people think I don't got to go through struggle. I just got to make a fool out of myself on the phone, on social media, and I'm good.
That's it.
And that's a reality. And
Right.
so
If it's all for money, because that's
Yeah.
what it is. But to your point of saying I'm not asking for money, I think if everybody looked at it like that, and that's hard. And trust me, if right now today you're like in $100,000 worth of debt or $200,000 worth of school debt, and you got a house note, and you got 2 kids in school and the car notes, it's like that dude don't know what he's talking about. I know everything that I'm talking about. At some point, you have to make a decision that I'm going to change things so things are changed forever behind me.
My relationship with money in this season has changed because I've held a lot of money in the last couple of years. The money that I have has passed through my hands is crazy, and it taught me something. It's like, yeah, money comes and goes, but if your mindset is all out of whack,
Right.
it's gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not all about what you make, it's what you keep. It's a simple statement. I know a lot of people who make 6 figures a year,
Right.
but are broke as a joke
Broke.
because it's the mindset.
That's right.
And so what God is working on me this season is my mindset. Right. So when I get that boatload of money again, or money come flowing, the currency starts flowing, I have a different mindset because these last 3 years, a lot of money has come my way.
Got it.
And I wasn't necessarily frivolous in my spending, but I was just learning. All I knew was to survive.
Right. Right. Which is what most people know.
Yeah. All I knew, I was just surviving. I said, I got to pay this bill. Like, this is going to survive. And I was thinking of the future, but I was like, man, I'll get around to that.
I'll get to the future when I get to the future. Right.
And so I had money to, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, I was just surviving. Right. And my therapist messaged me, he said, Amos, man, you got to get from surviving to conquering. Like, and then when he switched to the body, he said, you're more than conquered. Like, you got to conquer this thing. Right. And now I'm entering to a season where I'm conquering. Right. I just don't want to get a job just to survive, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to just live check to check. Like, I'm just going to make it just so I can survive the next 2 weeks. Right. Those survival and thriving days are gone. I need to conquer. Right. Become victorious. And it's a different mindset.
That's right.
And so it's like my relationship with money has changed now. Like, I respect budgeting. I respect investing. I respect delayed gratification. I honor that because so many of us want it right now. I want it now. Right. Not realizing, like, no, if you hold on just a little while longer,
that's right,
it's going to be better on the other side.
Yeah, right.
I'm embracing delayed this discomfort. It's going to prepare me for that victory on the other side of it.
That's right.
So yeah, I would love to feel good right now. I would love to have a whole bunch of money in my pocket right now. But no, I don't mind in learning what I'm learning now, in the discomfort, embracing the discomfort, learning, like, respect the budget, embrace delayed gratification. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Learn to wait.
Right.
I used to always make fun of people with money. You know, I grew up, a lot of older guys, they'll walk in a store. Mind you, they got the money to buy it cash.
Right.
They walk in, look, and leave.
Yeah.
I know you can pick this up right now. No. A couple weeks later, actually a couple months later, a couple years later,
yeah,
you'll see it pop up where, if it was a car or something like that, you'll see it in their driveway. I was like, how are you able to just not? But I'm learning. Yeah. The patience, the grace, and this understanding, being a good steward. Yeah. Not just over your finances, but over the wisdom, your resources. Right. You know what I'm saying? Knowing, like, not to waste all that we've experienced, to share with the right people, and understanding that. And so in this season of I'm embracing discomfort, I'm also learning that this is how wisdom is nurtured. I am all this uncertainty, navigating this discomfort, taking the leap of faith and losing stuff and not being able to that. When I get to the other side, I'm looking back like, okay, I'm going to speak with a different level of authority now.
Yeah.
Like you speak to me like you speak, because you back in 2004 to 2008, you got, you know what I'm saying? You can speak with an authority and a confidence knowing that, it is what it is, you know? But I'm in it now and I'm embracing it. It's hard mentally to kind of like, oh man, I can apply for this job or I can take this job here and survive.
Right.
But I did that.
Yeah.
I want to conquer this. I want to be a victor, not a victim. So I'm going to embrace this temporary, this season of discomfort. And while I'm in the discomfort, it's nurturing something, it's defining some things in my life, defining some things in my mind.
Right.
In this season, it's all about money. I'm honestly, my relationship with money, I needed this. That's what it was. Again, in the gym, doing all this stuff. That's where I kind of sort out my thoughts.
Right.
And I was doing a set, and it's like, Amos, this season is really about your finances. Like, you can do a lot more better with because it's coming.
Yeah.
When the surplus comes, you're going to treat it differently. Not saying in the past you didn't treat it right. But you know what I'm saying? Like what you know now, like, you know what? Right. I'm going to go about it differently. You know, having that pace and that grace and understanding. Like, you don't, some things we think we want now, it's like, nah, you could, you don't need it now. Yeah. You know, I enjoyed, like, I was in the season, I was buying Gucci, I was buying all that funny stuff. And I enjoyed it. I don't regret it.
Yeah, for sure.
But now, if I were to come across that season again, I wouldn't be so quick to go buy that Gucci stuff. I don't go ahead and Target and buy me a nice little pair and be fine. Like, it's like this ain't Gucci. This is.
I mean, it don't matter. You wear it good, so it's all good.
It's me,
right?
It's not what you know what I'm saying. Right. But all that I had to learn, and I'm learning in this discomfort. Is like, man, everything that we placed importance in, it may not be as important as you think it is, and so. I'm learning in this season of discomfort because I conquered the fear of the unknown and I took that leap of faith.
Right.
And now I'm in it. I'm like, oh, there are benefits to this discomfort.
That's right.
But all this we're saying, a lot of people avoid it because they don't get this far because they're afraid to even take their leap.
Right.
So they never get a chance to learn the lesson or become the lesson.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they just stay in that space and they just kind of stay in that loop, which to them is fine. And
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's not fine because in the back of their mind they want to do something. Like we've all been there. Like, you know, I'm always trying to push the envelope. You know, I gotta realize what's realistic, what I can't do right now, what or what I should have done. I mean, you don't just jump out of airplanes just for the sake of keep jumping out of airplanes. I get some people do, but what I mean is there is rationale to some things, and yet the only thing you really need to ask yourself this one question: what price are you willing to pay? What price are you willing to pay for whatever it is that you want? Well, I know what I want, so I'm willing to pay the price.
Truth,
right? And that's all it boils down to is not emotional. It's just a logical. The one thing when God says, He says, "Come now, let us reason together." That's not no spiritual run around, slam yourself on the church altar. Mm-hmm. It's literally sitting down with God, going, God, are you real? And God looking at you like, yes, I'm real. Mm-hmm. I created everything. Mm-hmm. I want the best for you. Do you want the best for yourself?
That part.
Well, I want everything. No, what I'm asking is, do you want the best for you, mind, body, and spirit? And would you like to be, live everlasting, have an everlasting life with me forever after all this material stuff is all over with? Well, I don't really believe in you, and I don't really want that. I just want a great life. Well, okay. Well, there's going to be some repercussions to that. And in everlasting life, you will not get to see anything that's bright or light or anything else. These are the the stipulations that come with this. But the relationship is, if you were in a relationship with me, that if the whole world is against you, I'd be more than that whole world. If the whole world's against you, I got your back in a manner that you can't understand. And so that's the conversation. That's the reasoning part. Now, we make it emotional and make people cry, but just sit down and just have a real conversation with God about the reality of what that relationship looks like. And Jesus says, you take my yoke upon you and you learn of me, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The yoke that's on you that you don't believe is on you is actually pretty hard, and that devil is going to kill you if you let him.
Yeah.
And so the people have not come to understand that there is a real being having a relationship with you that wants to sit down and actually have the conversation. That's why there's so many words in that Bible, because he's talking to you. And if you learn how to listen, then what'll happen is when you hear him say, I didn't give you all the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. What I want you to have is power to be able to love other people, and I want your mind sound. And the thing is, that one fear breaks your power, your love, and that sound mind. So you see how powerful fear is? That it's destroying you from having the ability, power, having the capability to do something, not allowing you to love people as people. That's why we have racism and so many biases, and not be able to let you have peace in your own mind.
Jeez, that fear.
One fear.
One fear.
Against those three things.
Man, we could rest right there, man. Like, God hasn't given you the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. That's a song. I mean, that was a song we grew up, with Colorado, Mass. And, fear has crippled a lot of us.
Yeah.
And it is crippling a lot of us. I don't want to come out here and say I'm a fearless guru. I know but I am thankful that I'm at this step, because further that I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
There are going to be seasons where I'm going to be challenged again.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's part of the growing. That's part of the growth. Because I'm not one that like to remain stagnant. But I'm so glad I took that leap of faith. Conquered this fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of being ridiculed. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I think so much as that weighs people in their decision making, because they're afraid of, honestly, not even in their own mind, they're afraid of what other people. Who cares about what other people are going to say? And outside of their family.
I get it.
Yeah,
people hate being criticized, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
Listen, being criticized is never good. It never feels good. Learning how to swallow it, though, is being the bigger person. And knowing that you're being talked about. That's hard.
It is hard. And I've noticed, like, the greats, that's part of it. That comes with the cost. Like, so many people I'm seeing are getting crucified. Like, we see it on social media, and I could tell you they probably in their yacht enjoying life and not caring a single thing, but because they know it comes with a cost.
That's right.
And so I'm just like, okay, this is part of it. I have to deal with potentially being ridiculed, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it plays in my mind sometimes, like, Amos, you just quit a job. Like, you were a short shot, people are probably looking at you crazy. Now you sitting here struggling and all that stuff. And I'm like, I ain't struggling, but I'm just like, I am embracing, it's uncomfortable, but I need it. I needed this discomfort, because there's some things that were needed to grow. There's some things in me, and I am honest about it. And as I learn and grow, I'm going to show, like, this is what you do. This is what you learn, how you manage money, how you your decision making in managing your money, and how you deal with identity and confidence. Part of what I've dealt with in therapy was that before I made a decision, I had to run it by 20 million people to get their approval. My therapist was like, "What are you doing? He created you. You are the solution. Right. Why you got to go through 20 gazillion other people to get their confirmation before you make a move? Yeah. Stop that." Yeah. And I was like, so now I'm in the season like, man, this is what I'm doing. And I got to stand alone. I'm going to stand alone.
That's right.
And I'm standing, but there is a peace about that sound mind. Because you know what I'm saying? Because God isn't giving you this fear. Nope. And so I was just like, okay, I'm not afraid of this no more. I'm not afraid of experiencing a setback.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's like almost like what they use is like being catapulted. It requires a negative
Right, to be
movement,
pulled back.
pull back.
Yeah.
In order to be the further back you're being pulled, the further And so I am feeling that, and I know it's going to catapult. But it also requires the speaking of life to yourself.
Right.
Every moment I tell myself, Amos, keep going. You're going to make it. Keep going. Keep going. Then you get a spotter. Somebody, when you feel a little struggle, there's somebody that's going to be like, come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm surrounded with some great spotters.
Yeah.
And so I am thankful that I didn't allow the fear to cripple me.
Yeah, for sure.
And allow me to remain in my comfort zone.
Right.
Which for some people is fine, but for me, I knew that greater is he that's in me than is he that's in this world. And that I knew that God has set me up for greater versus what the world may consider as great. Like, they could have looked at what I was doing, great, but I felt like God has placed something greater in me to do, and I'm operating in that confidence, man. And I'm so thankful that, I am not in a space of people pleasing or crowd, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You got to stand alone. You got to stand on your own 2 feet and be like, listen, this is for God I live and for God I die. This is where He's placed this in me. I have a confidence. I know that I'm going to succeed in this because that's the way God is. And so I walk in that confidence. No more fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being alone.
Yeah.
Fear of being unpopular. Initially, when I took a leap of faith, I was was I expecting it? Maybe. I was like going to get some calls like, hey, man, come over here or this or that. I ain't get none of that. And I was like, so?
Yeah.
When of course, I filled out applications for other jobs in the film, video production industry. And of course, they come back, oh, we're going another direction. You know what my answer is? Their loss.
Right.
Because it's just like I've grown comfortable knowing like what God has for me is for me.
Right.
I can experience a million no's, but all it takes is one yes.
That's right.
And that's all I did is like, one thing that I'm trying to control, okay, God, I'm trying to control time. And that's, God's timing is beyond anything we can control.
That's right.
That's where that patience comes from.
That's right.
And that's where I'm working on. And I'll be honest, because I struggle a little bit with that patience thing. Because I was like, all right, God, the 31st is coming, man. I got to.
Yeah. God can be like,
can you turn around and can things turn around by the 31st? He's like, he's not even going to answer. He's like,
I mean, he might. He'd be like, yeah, it's going to turn around on the 33rd.
God's timing. It's God's timing. It's not my timing.
But it's not even God's timing. God's like, I don't exist in time, and whatever I do wipes away whatever. It doesn't even matter.
These what it says in Romans 8. This is what they say. These present circumstances are not to be compared.
That's right.
And I'm looking at this slight inconvenience.
Right.
All it takes is one yes.
Right. And it'll wipe all it away. That's why God is like, I say that like I know what being God is like. But God is like, don't be afraid because whatever I do cleans the slate.
Period.
And
I think there is the fear that God won't or that God can't. I think some people think it's like, okay, God, you not realizing God is bigger than that. God is bigger than that bill. God is bigger than that debt. I've seen God do it. But there are people who are fearful that God won't do it.
Right, but they're fearful that God won't do it because of how they feel about themselves, not really because that they know God won't do it. So there are things that God won't do, but it's not that he can't do. And what he won't do is the same thing as any father who chooses not to do something for a child based on something that the child is possibly doing. Now, God says that the Bible says he reigns upon the just as well as the unjust. Everybody kind of gets blessed in some form and fashion. But when you're a child, in some things, God is trying to get you to stand up on your own 2 feet. So that's why you don't get no extra cake.
Listen,
you see what I'm saying?
I am so thankful for the no's. I'll say this story. I know we got to close. My dad, when I was 18, I have the same name as my father. I'm Amos Jr. And my first car, he co-signed for me. So it made the process easy. Like,
100%, right?
So I moved out on my own. When I turned 18, my dad is a believer. He's like, listen, you're a grown man at 18. You're on your own. So I was 20. I moved to Atlanta. Dad was proud of me. I'm doing my thing. But I needed to get a new car because the old car was old. It was several years, it's paid for, So my dad was like, so I was the youngest. So after I'm old enough, my dad is like,
yeah, I'm done.
I'm done.
Right.
No more. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I want to get this new car. Can you co-sign? He said, no.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
Right.
I was pissed at my dad. I said, Dad, I kept your name clean. I didn't use your name on no credit card. I didn't, I kept your rep. Like, I'm the good son. Like,
right.
What you,
right.
You can't do this for me?
Right.
The one ask, and you said no?
Right.
I was mad at him for years, for at least 1 or 2 years.
Wow.
I ended up getting a car. I had to pay a little bit more.
Right.
Because,
Right, because you had to do it on your own.
Yeah. But years down the line, I thanked him.
Yeah.
I needed that.
Yeah.
That no, it grew me up, man.
Because you'd have never got away from up under him.
Never.
Yeah.
And he knew that.
Yeah.
Sometimes your father knows best. And that no is necessary.
Right.
That no, and so.
And yet you still went and got a car.
That part. It was a little harder, but you needed that.
But it didn't matter. You needed to go and do that.
Yeah.
So his no wasn't to deny you the car. It was the mentality in which you was approaching the situation.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I love it, man. And so I am so today was like it was such a pivotal shift for me in this journey before we started filming today. And I'm just like, man, this podcast, man, I believe it's going to bless someone. So if you're hearing this podcast, you're watching this, let us know how this conversation impacted you. What are you afraid of? We talked about fear and how it cripples our decision and keeps us in our comfort zone. And it just keeps us just staying from making that transition from good to great. And I'm so thankful that I had this great conversation with Chris, man. Like, this is amazing, man. And again, let us know what this conversation, how has it impacted you in your life. I know it's greatly impacted my life, and I'm gonna look back at this and be like, man, this is rich. This is amazing. Again, Chris is just such an amazing resource for me. He's like, I would call him my spotter in the gym. Like, I'm trying to go for a new personal, a personal best, and I'm gonna need him to help spot me to reach that level. And so, thank you so much, Chris, for just joining me in this premiere episode of season 5. It's amazing that I think we're on to a very powerful start of this season of Battle Wounds podcast. For those who even watched Battle Wounds, the worship experience I put on my YouTube, he was pivotal helping me in the cinematography, putting that together. Like I say, in making this pivot into filmmaking and video production, this guy has been a tremendous resource. I'll be sure, if you want to connect with Chris, be sure to get all his social media and his email and let you know how to connect with Chris. Again, he's a resource. He said, hey, if you have a need, if you have a question, if he can answer it, he'll give you the answer. Tremendously resourceful, a great brother, a great man of God. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of it, man. Again, Chris, man, thank you. I can't keep saying thank you, man. This was amazing conversation, man, and I pray it blesses others like it has blessed me, man.
Oh, for sure.
Man.
Thank you very much.
Man, anytime, man. We'll be back. We got more stuff in store. I know I got other projects that Chris kind of be in the background helping spot me, you know what I mean? But thank you again for helping me walk in this season with a confidence like I've never had before, man, knowing that, you know what, you could take this leap and just know that God is with you. It's going to be uncomfortable. Embrace it. You'll learn from it and you grow from it. And you know what? When you get to the other side, make sure you help someone else.
That's right. That's
And
exactly
that's my goal. I'm going to get to the other side to help someone else cross over, and that's exactly, it's like what they say, pay it forward. You're like, you know what? You helping me. I'm going to help someone else grow and embrace discomfort in order to get to the next level. So again, thank you so much for tuning into the Battle Wounds podcast, season 5 premiere with Chris Black as my guest. This was amazing conversation. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, comment, share with anybody who needs to understand and answer the question, what are you afraid of? It's time for you to step out of your comfort zone. What are you afraid of? Again, thank you so much for tuning into the Battle Wounds podcast. I'm your host, Amos St. Jean. Until next time, remember, health is wealth. See ya.